All right, folks, welcome back to the New Sentinel. I'm Major Ethan Graves, and I gotta say, today's topic is a big one. Literally, the U.S. defense budget just hit a record $1.1 trillion. That's trillion with a T, Duke. You ever think we'd see the day?
Not in my wildest, Ethan. I mean, back in the day, a number like that would have sounded like science fiction. But here we are, and it ain't just about throwing money around. This budget's all about shifting gears. Less about building a bigger force, more about making what we got meaner and smarter. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, the testimony from the brass, Air Force Secretary Mike, General Alvin, and General Saltzman was all about modernization. The Air Force is pouring cash into nuclear upgrades, like the new LG-35A Sentinel ICBM and the B-21 Raider stealth bomber. They're finally phasing out those old Minuteman IIIs and B-2s. About time, if you ask me.
And don't forget the F-47, man. That's the next-gen fighter, supposed to replace the F-22. They're throwing billions at it, trying to get it out the door faster. But you know, Ethan, I keep hearing folks say, why not just buy more planes? But it's not about numbers anymore. It's about survivability, quality, and being able to smack down China or Russia if they get froggy in the Indo-Pacific or Arctic. Like we talked about with Greenland last episode, new front lines, new toys.
Exactly. And the Space Force, man, they're not playing around. Nearly $40 billion for them, with $25 billion just for the Golden Dome missile defense. That's a mix of ground and space-based sensors and interceptors, all aimed at keeping the homeland safe. Reminds me of the old Cold War days, when continental defense was the name of the game. Only now, it's satellites and cyber, not just nukes and bombers.
Yeah, and they're launching 300 new satellites in the next couple years. That's a lot of eyes in the sky. Plus, $15 billion for cyber defense, because if you ain't locking down your networks, you're just asking for trouble. I mean, look, the doctrine's shifting. It's not about having the biggest stick, it's about having the smartest one. And with all the pressure to cut waste, they're reallocating, not just spending more for the heck of it.
It's funny, Duke. I remember back in the Cold War, we always talked about quality over quantity. Looks like we're circling back to that. Only now, the battlefield's got a lot more dimensions. Space, cyber, and, well, drones. Which brings us to the next big shift in how wars are fought.
Oh, you want to talk about drones? Man, that's the Wild West right now. The Pentagon just stood up the Joint Counter Small Unmanned Aircraft Systems University, JCU for short. First of its kind. They're training 1,000 troops a year to deal with these little flying nightmares. And let me tell you, it's about time.
Yeah, the threat's evolving fast. You look at Ukraine, DIY drone warfare is everywhere. They're strapping grenades to commercial drones like those DJI quadcopters and turning them into kamikaze machines. It's not just state actors anymore. Anyone with a credit card and a soldering iron can get in the game.
I saw that firsthand in training, Ethan. We had to adapt on the fly, no pun intended. One day you're worried about IEDs. Next day it's a $500 drone dropping a mortar round on your head. The JCU's teaching folks to use stuff like the Smart Shooter, basically a smart optic for your M4, helps you hit those tiny targets. And then there's the Drone Buster, which jams the signal and brings them down. But here's the kicker. There's no silver bullet. You gotta layer your defenses. One system ain't gonna cut it.
Right. And the training's not just for the Army. They're bringing in all branches, even federal agencies and allies. It's about standardizing the playbook so everyone's on the same page. And with drone swarms on the horizon, multiple drones working together controlled by a single system, it's only going to get more complicated. You can't just shoot them all down. You need jammers, shooters, maybe even nets. It's a cost competition, too. You don't want to spend $1 million to take out a $200 drone.
Exactly. And you know, the Ukrainians really set the pace. They were the first to go all in on first-person view drones, those little kamikaze quadcopters. Now everyone's copying that playbook. The battlefield's changing, and if you don't adapt, you're toast. I tell my guys, don't get stuck in old habits. The enemy sure ain't.
And it's not just about the tech. It's about the mindset. Like we saw with the shift to space-based surveillance after the wedge tail got canned. If you're not thinking ahead, you're already behind. Drones are just the latest curveball, but the real challenge is how policy and law keep up with all this change. And that's a whole other battlefield.
Yeah, and speaking of battlefields, the legal and political ones are heating up too. Supreme Court just let Trump's birthright citizenship order go into effect in most states. They didn't rule on the order itself, but they made it a heck of a lot harder for lower courts to block it nationwide. That's a big deal for immigration law, and it's got folks on both sides fired up.
It's a classic case of executive power versus judicial checks, right? The order says kids born here to undocumented immigrants don't get automatic citizenship. The lower courts tried to block it, but now, with this ruling, it's in effect in 28 states. That's going to spark a lot of legal battles, and honestly, it could leave a lot of kids in limbo. Reminds me of how policy shifts can ripple through society, not just the military.
And it's not just here. Look at Spain. They passed a law making it a crime to oppose gender transition treatments for minors, even for parents or doctors. You get prison time if you try to slow things down. That's a whole new level of government stepping in. Some folks call it a human rights win. Others say it's trampling on parental rights. It's a global debate now, not just a local one.
Yeah, and all this is happening while the world's still dealing with the fallout from the Iran-Israel escalation. Remember, we talked about the strikes on Iran's nuclear sites a few episodes back. Now there's a leaked DIA report saying those strikes only set Iran back by months, not years. The administration's pushing back, calling the leak treasonous, but the damage is done. Public trust in intelligence is shaky, and the region's even more tense.
That's the thing, Ethan. It's not just about bombs and bullets anymore. It's about who controls the narrative, who leaks what, and how divided we are on the inside. Internal divisions, information warfare, it all shapes the battlefield, whether it's in Congress, the courts, or the Middle East. And if you're not paying attention, you're missing half the fight.
Couldn't have said it better. The battlefield's everywhere now. Land, air, space, cyberspace, and even the courtroom. And as we've seen, the lines between them are getting blurrier every day. That's all the time we've got for this episode, but you can bet we'll be back to dig even deeper into these shifting front lines.
You know it, Ethan. Folks, stay sharp, stay free, and don't let the headlines fool you. We'll catch you next time on the New Sentinel.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Take care out there, and we'll see you down the road.